So what's going on guys, Kate is here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the best Wardancer PVE build in Lost Ark. So in this guide I will show you what abilities and awakening skill you want to get. Then I will explain what are the best engravings, gems and cards to use for endgame content. And then lastly I will show you the best gameplay and even which stats you need to allocate for PvE, so you would be able to get the best results and highest damage possible and much more. So no matter how low or high level or gear score your character is, you can easily use this build and follow the step-by-step guide. So if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So Wardancer is one of the highest mobility classes in Lost Ark. It has bunch of skills with low cooldowns and that increase the overall traveling speed during the leveling and dungeon farming process. This build mainly focuses on swiftness, which increases the movement speed, attack speed and reduces the cooldowns of all of your skills. And then at the end game we will be using the first intention engraving, which will increase our overall damage by plus 25% and much more. So if you are looking for the best leveling, raiding, chaos dungeon or any other PvE content build, then this is the one for you. Okay, so now let's move over to the build itself, and these are the skills you want to have. So then for the first ability we have the Flash Heat Fang, and this time we want to use just 4 levels to unlock the Fist of Darkness. Then for your gems you want to get both types, so one for cooldown reduction and the second one for damage increase. And then lastly for your rune you want to get the Judgment. Then for the second ability we have the Roar of Courage, and we use 10 levels to select the Magic Control, Supreme Ruler, After Image and Fatal Wave. Then for your gems you want to get the damage increase gem, and then lastly for your rune you want to get the focus. Then for the next one we have the Wind's Whisper, and we use 10 more levels to unlock the Oath of the Wind, Quick Preparation and Ready Attack. Then for your gems you want to get the cooldown reduction gem, and then lastly for your rune you want to get the focus. Then for the fourth ability we have the Sky Shattering Blow, and this time we use just 4 levels to select the excellent mobility. Then for your gems you don't want to select anything, and then lastly for your rune you want to get the bleed. Then for the next one we have the Lightning Kick ability, and we use 10 levels to unlock the Sharp Movement, Thunder Kick and Flash Lightning. Then for your gems you want to get both types, so one for cooldown reduction and the second one for damage increase. And then lastly for your rune you want to get the Quick Recharge. So then for one of the last abilities we have the Moon Flash Kick, and we use 10 more levels to select the Intense Shock, Single Strike and Full Moon Kick. Then for your gems you want to get both types, so one for cooldown reduction and the other one for damage increase. And then lastly for your rune you want to get the Gale Wind. Then for the 7th ability we have the Energy Combustion, and this time we only use 4 levels to unlock the Combustible Armor. Then for your gems you want to get the Damage Increase gem, and then lastly for your rune you want to get the Conviction. And then for the last and final ability we have the Sweeping Kick, and we use our last 10 levels to select the Weak Point Detection, Light of Justice and Pure Excellence. Then for your gems you want to get both types, so one for cooldown reduction and the second one for damage increase. And then lastly for your rune you want to get the Gale Wind. Then as well after level 50 for your awakening skill you want to get the Fist of Dominance. But if you haven't reached level 50 yet, then here's a specific guide on which abilities you should upgrade first while leveling with the Wardancer. And then on top of all this, focus on equipping as high item level gear as you can. And then at the end game you should have 350 crit and 1250 swiftness. But again, if you haven't reached this point yet, then try to have around 80% stats into swiftness and 20% stats into crit. Okay, so then the way I would recommend to upgrade this build is at level 50, you will get around 250 points. So this is how your build should look like. But then by doing more and more endgame content you will get more points. And at the absolute endgame, this is how your build should look like with all the 412 skill points. So at the start you use the 252 point build, and then by leveling up and completing quests you will get more points. So just keep on improving your skills and getting higher tier runes and gems as well. So then let's move over to the engravings, and you want to get the first intention, and this engraving disables the elemental meter gain and makes your esoteric skills unusable, but in return you will get increased damage up to 25%, and you will make your gameplay a lot more simple and fun. So then for the second engraving we have the Raid Captain, and as your build has a lot of swiftness, we get to increase our overall damage even up to 18% and much more. Then the next one is called the Master of Ambush, and since your Wardancer relies on back attacks for extra 10% crit rate, this engraving adds extra damage on top of all this. Then for the fourth engraving, you want to get the Keen Blunt Weapon, and because our build has more than 60% crit rate, getting increased crit damage will come very handy to increase our overall damage. Then the next one is called the Grudge, and this is more advanced engraving that is recommended for tier 3 content. This Grudge is the most efficient engraving against mobs, and you will get your damage increased, but in return you will take 20% more damage. So when you get to the very endgame content, which is called the tier 3, then get this engraving, and before using it, get it to at least level 2, because at level 1 this engraving is not that efficient. And then for the last one, we have the Cursed Doll, and this is a significant attack power increase at the cost of 25% healing penalty. This penalty can be offset by paying more attention on dodging red AoE circles and by using healing potions more often. So then in my quick summary, I would recommend to get the top 3 engravings first and then the bottom 3. And then last but not the least, let's move over to your cards, and you want to get the Armin, Syria, Solas, King Tarwin, Carmen and Delane Armin. In general, these cards are an endgame system for maximizing your character, so you don't have to get them right away, but these specific cards will optimize your damage output in PvE even more. I did bunch of testing for this build, and this was the best and most optimized card set. Okay, so then moving over to the gameplay, and if you have played this class while leveling, you will be very familiar with the skills, so I will just try to give you a short description. So then for the first 2 abilities, we have the Wind's Whisper and Roar of Courage, and these are your main buffing skills that you want to use at the beginning of your rotation, since they will give you attack speed and movement speed buffs. They also debuff targets with minus 10% crit resistance, and then lastly you get a self buff which increases your crit rate and damage. Then the next ability is called the Sky Shattering Blow, and this is usually used as a counter attack ability. It also provides massive damage boost by keeping up your energy combustion skill. Then for the next 2 abilities, we have the Moonflash Kick and Sweeping Kick, and these are your main damage skills. They are quick and very safe burst skills that don't force you to be stationary while performing the skill. Then for the next ability, we have the Lightning Kick, and this skill will do damage and mainly is used as a gap closer / repositioning tool for more mobility. And then lastly, the rest of our skills are just simple damage dealers that do fast DPS and can be basically used as soon as they get off cooldown. And then last but not the least, for your awakening skill, we have the Fist of Dominance, and this is a very powerful ability that will release a energy shield, and you'll be able to jump past enemies 6 different times, and each time you will do damage, then you will knock them back. And then lastly, while the skill is active, you will get 80% damage reduction. I usually recommend to use this ability in crucial fights to get that 80% damage reduction and do massive amounts of damage at the same time. Okay, so then let's take a closer look at your best skill rotation. And as we are using the first intention engraving, our gameplay will be very mobile and very quick pace. So then the highest damage rotation is to first of all use the Energy Combustion, then the Lightning Kick, then Flash Heat Fang, then Wind's Whisper, then Roar of Courage, then Sweeping Kick, then Moonflash Kick, and then lastly finish it off with the Lightning Kick. And then as well, during the skill downtime, hold down the movement button while tapping basic attacks repeatedly to perform a basic attack cancel. By doing this, you will perform a lot more attacks, so then you will be able to increase your overall damage. And then lastly, let's see what we did in this rotation. So by first of all using the Energy Combustion, we activated our skill that will do damage every 0.5 seconds over the next 10 seconds. Then we used our Lightning Kick to do damage and put it on cooldown, so we could use it 2 times in our rotation. Then right afterwards we activate all of these 3 skills, and each one of them will buff or debuff the enemy, so it will increase our overall damage. And then lastly we use our main highest damage skills, and that's about it. So now in my last and final conclusions for this build. Remember that first intention Wardancer sacrifices the elemental meter to increase the damage of her other skills. This makes your Sweeping Kick and Energy Combustion the main damage skills of your build. Then as well keep on using the Energy Combustion ability as much as possible, because you'll be able to deal consistent damage. Then when you're fighting in the endgame dungeons, don't forget to buff yourself with the Wind's Whisper and debuff the boss with the Roar of Courage skill before you use any other damage abilities. And then lastly, your main priority for engravings is to get to level 3 for your Grudge and First Intention, as they will increase most of your damage, and that's about it. So I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback or other good Lost Ark PVE classes that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day and I'll catch you in my next video. So take it easy, peace.